I have had a real estate background, but like I said, that was back when dinosaurs ruled the earth and things have changed. I remember doing 19-page contracts where you had to fax them and then you had to be up till midnight faxing back and forth waiting for an answer. So this is clearly, thank God for the year 2000 and computers. When we met Seawing, out-of-state investing was not even on my radar. I was thinking with the assets that Mark and I had, which was not a whole lot, we might be able to buy something here in California and it might cash flow in about 5 or 6 years. I mean, that was really our mentality. The idea of investing out of state was not even on our radar. When I got on his podcast or webinar and heard all the different areas where there's properties that are actually less than $1 million, like a lot less than $1 million, I thought, wow, this might be something we can do. Something else he talked about, which I am going to ask him to go into, maybe kind of a high level overview. Two of the properties we put inside of our self-directed IRAs. In fact, the first two properties we did that. And there is a process to go through that. But it is a way, I'll just give you real quick, it is a way that we are able to maximize our IRA investments much better than the investments that we had amid. Because with the property inside of the IRA, you are getting the increase in value alone. So, of course, where we are investing doesn't go up like California. We're investing in upstate New York in the Buffalo, Niagara Falls area, but you do get the increase in value. Plus, all the rental receipts that come in go directly back into our IRA. And so we are getting a much better return than we would have if had we left it in the market. Now, I don't think that this is for everybody to do that in your IRA. I confess a little bit. I'm in my 60s. I am at an age where most people are retiring. My husband's a little bit younger, but, we are not on the young side. We are not in our 30s. And this is like, oh, if this doesn't work, then we can try something new. And those of you that know me know I do a lot of research. When I first met Seawing and got all the information, the first thing I did was go to the IRS website to see, is this a real thing? Can you really do a self-directed IRA? And then that's where I started my journey. So I do a lot of research. It was 2 months before we sat back down again with him and got our questions answered and decided to go ahead and be a part of this real estate network and start our journey. So from January of last year, we started working with him in March. By the end of July, and I remember because it was right near my birthday, it was the day after my birthday, we closed our first property. Somebody asked about, is it duplexes, triplexes, whatever. He mainly works with single family, 1 to 4 units, which is once you get over 4 units, it's considered commercial. So that is his main focus. We have one duplex actually in my husband's retirement, and then I have a single family in my retirement. And then we just recently picked up 2 more single family properties in the same area. And the most inexpensive one we bought was the most recent one. It was $48,000. And so just to give you an idea of numbers, what we had to come up with, I'll put it this way. What the cash out, what we put into it, down payment, closing costs, all that was just right around $18,000. And our mortgage is less than my cell phone bill. And it will cash flow with us about $300 a month. So like I said, we just closed that one a few weeks ago. So it was hard. I'm going to tell you, it was hard making that first decision. And you know me, I do a lot of research, so I don't do anything emotionally when it comes to money. I did a lot of research. I think that the benefit that I had with King Seawing is that he gave us direction. He gave us the context. He basically held our hand. And once I even got all the information, then he kind of helped pull the trigger. Because it's like that first one is really scary. I'll be quite honest with you, because it's not something I'd ever done before. Real estate agent that never owned any property. So here we go. And when I say the system was seamless, it's like if you can read a Google map, like turn here, go left, go down a half a mile and turn it. That's kind of how it was. I mean, he gave us instructions, who to talk to, go to this person. I call him and say, I don't know what to do with this. He's like, this is how you handle this. Go back to this person, ask this person this. The first one was the most difficult, and that was seamless. I mean, it really was. Getting the money over, we had our IRAs, another broker or whatever. And so we had to transfer those. If anybody's transferred money between IRAs, it's just they process. You just go online, you fill out the paperwork, they shoot the money over there. Once you get it over there, then you start working with the contact person in this case, it was called interest, at the trustee. And you start going through the motions on how to handle the paperwork. Then Seawing kicks in. He says, okay, here's how you find the property. Now, we made a decision to do upstate New York because our goal was cash flow. Everybody's goal is different. So your goal may not be my, but our goal was cash flow. And that is why we went to upstate New York because the property values are low, inexpensive, and the cash flow is high compared to other places in the country. Not that we don't want to look at some other places in the country, but for right now, with the assets that we had to work with, that is where we decided to go. You may decide Florida is a better place. I would love to get in Florida. We're just not in a place where we can do that right now. But that is something that we are looking at, or Texas, or even actually Alabama. The area is probably our next step up where we would like to start looking at some things. So yeah, like I said, and it's kind of like it's like anything else. Like once you do it one time, the second time becomes very easy, and then the third time becomes very easy, and the fourth time becomes very easy. And I remember when we got into the third one, Mark was because normally I handle this because Mark is working full time. God bless his heart. He's the only reason that I can sit at home and do all this. But I remember I was on the phone with the young man, Caleb Kanavi, who we work with Buffalo Turnkey, and he and I were just talking. I asked him about a property. I had done the research on it. I'm asking about this and that and the other and whatever. And then I said, okay, we'll go with it. And so I hung up the phone. And so Mark was like, so what are we doing? I said, we're going to get an escrow on this one. He's like, really? It was that easy? Yeah. I mean, it's easier than buying a pair of shoes when you've done it a couple of times. And now we have built a relationship with the Buffalo Turnkey people back up in upstate New York. And they operate with a lot of integrity. The young man that I'm working with, if you ever meet him, he looks like he's about 15. I mean, I'm sure he's quite older than that, but it's a family run business, which I can appreciate because most of you know I grew up in a family business. And the father started the business. All the young adult children are in the business. And he was very patient. I remember the first one because anybody who knows me know I asked a lot of questions. And I must have asked Caleb like, I don't know, 100 questions. And I'm sure he's heard all the questions before. And I'd always say to him, you know what? I apologize. I'm new at this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to ask. And he was always very gracious. He didn't hunt. He didn't try to rush me up the phone like I have a bigger and better name on the other line. He was just very accommodating with my questions, even though I'm sure he had heard them 1,000 times before. So that gave me a lot of confidence. And like I said, we have this relationship now where things are coming up. And he's like, oh, Julie, you might want to take a look at this one. We just got this. Yeah, or we just fell through and we got, somebody else didn't want it. Do you think you want it or whatever? So we're building that type of relationship. It's a relationship type business. So that's really what it's all. I'm gonna get Nira's hand, and then I'm gonna go back to a couple more questions that Rosalind had. Nira, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. And congratulations to you and Mark.
Thank you.
And girl, that's why we're good friends because we ask a lot of questions.
Girl, yes.
Okay. So Mr. Yee, I am a public servant. So I have 403B. I do not have IRA. Does it work the same?
Well, good question. Now, if my understanding is, yeah, that's little bit different. When you work for a nonprofit, it's very, very difficult to tap into your pension plan. Some nonprofits, such as your education profession, you cannot tap into your pension, your 403B or the tax shelter annuity. You can't really tap into it until age 59 and a half. But then again, you talk to your HR department to determine any potential for portability in those retirement plans. But most often you cannot access the money until age 59 and a half. So, depends. But
Well, I love you for thinking that I'm not 59 and a half. Okay. Well, you're already scoring points with me. But let me tell you though, I did research into that. If I were to take money out of that, it would be 20% to the federal government and 2% to the state government. So let's say that I take $10,000 out. I have to give the government $2,200.
time out.
Okay.
Not true. Not true.
That's what they told me over the phone.
No, not true. I mean, in a way that that person, yeah, they are reading off the when they answer your question. When you roll over at 59 and a half, when you roll over your current employer's money into a outside IRA, that's a tax-free rollover. So no need to withhold 20% withholding, all these kind of things. What they're thinking is different.
So you're suggesting that I roll over my loads of money into an IRA and then go from there with my investment.
That's what Julie did. Yes. No tax implication, no penalty. As long as you're over 59 and a half, I assume that that's the case. Yeah, no tax penalty, no 20% withholding, all these penalties and fees. No, you just transferring your retirement money into another bucket of retirement money. It's a
Right.
tax-free transfer.
So how do I know which IRA to pick in order to have the money grow? Because I have a lot of money because I've been working, when the dinosaur existed, just like Julie.
So I know for those of you guys that listen out there, on this Zoom, yes, you have the ability to roll over the previous employer 401k or whatever, similar to NERA, right? NERA? Yeah, did I pronounce it correctly, NERA? Yeah.
Perfect.
Assuming one is over the age 59 and a half, you have the freedom and discretion to roll those money over, regardless if you work for nonprofit or not, because that's what the IRS says. Having said that, I'm not a licensed tax advisor. I'm not giving you tax advice. I'm giving you education right now, right? To answer your
Right.
question. So when one rolled over their pre-existing retirement plan into an independent IRA, the rollover is done. So if you're going to use the IRA after you roll the money over into a separate IRA, you can use that separate IRA to invest those IRA things using buy rental property, physical assets inside the IRA and still contain the tax deferral status of your IRA. That means your cash flow received from the property is tax deferral. That means the appreciation of the house grows tax deferred until you withdraw the cash flow. When you withdraw the cash flow at age 59 and a half or older, then the income you withdraw, just like any other IRA, is subject to ordinary taxation, and you have to pay taxes on it on the amount of the income drawn if you decide to withdraw at that time. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I do have a question about the cash flow that Julie and Mark are receiving. That is taxable though, right?
It- it-
Not oh, I'm sorry. Not
yeah.
what's going into our IRA is not taxable. So we bought 2 within our IRAs. That is just like any other investment. Think of it this way, Nira. If you buy a mutual fund and the mutual fund value goes up by the end of the year, are you paying taxes on that? No.
I pay taxes on the interest.
Not while it's in the IRA. Think about it. When it's in the IRA, like your investments do this while you're in the IRA, right? Hopefully they're going up. You're never having any tax consequence on that until you withdraw the money. That's when you start paying because it's all tax deferred, right? That's the whole point of the IRA. It's just like any other investment. If the value goes up on the house value, the increase in the rental income, all that is not taxable until you start taking the money out, just like any other IRA. In fact, we got a broker on here. Cardi is an actual investment broker, so she can probably attest to what or confirm what I'm saying, which I used to do that business too.